That's it,
Great.
yeah.
Here we are. So welcome, people. After the bank holiday weekend, I think I'm confused. I keep thinking it's Monday today, but it's not. I think that tends to be the way. But it's all
How
good.
was your bank holiday, Lydia? Did you do anything fun?
Yeah, it was good, thank you. It was quite quiet. I think that was appreciated. Not too much on, although Eastbourne, which you can see behind me, becomes a complete tourist attraction. So there's on the seafront, they have classic car shows. Hundreds of people bring down their cars, their motorbikes, and then there are dog shows and all sorts. So I actually avoided the seafront for most of that because I've been a number of years in a row. So that was but it was yeah, lovely weather. Little bit of rain on Saturday, but apart from that, it didn't rain, which is unusual for bank holiday. How about you, Simon? How was your bank holiday?
Well, it was the Whitney Beer Festival, so I must admit I did go and meet a friend there, and that was nice. But we had again quite quiet weekend, and but enjoyed it. It was just some nice walks, and the weather being dry and everything was great. And so I know we've had some apologies this morning, but we're recording, so we will send to those who can't be with us. And I think we should make a start fairly soon, don't you? We'll give another
Yeah,
maybe minute before we'll see if anyone else is
absolutely.
coming.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, give it another 30 seconds and we can kick off with the beginnings. That's all good. But thank you very much for being here, those who have arrived. Always lovely to have people to interact with, and hopefully good learning in the room. That's the hope.
Oh, someone
Yeah.
else arriving. And we should as well say that Mike can't join us this morning. For those of you who were with us last time, our colleague Mike was with us as well. But unfortunately, he can't make it this morning, but sends his best wishes. So,
Indeed, he'll be back with a vengeance next time,
yeah.
on our next exciting adventure. So yeah, brilliant. Right. Well, let's make a start. Just want to welcome everybody here this morning. Thank you very much. Sorry, this afternoon. Thank you very much for coming. Just a reminder of what we're doing. We're a group of consultants and coaches with Giant, and we've been doing this for a few years now, some of us, and we are wanting to help share some of the tools and the expertise that we've been learning over the number of years that we've been with Giant. So yeah, it's really great for us to be able to meet once a month. We've got all the alliterative teas of at 12 on the first Tuesday of the month for 20 minutes. We meet and we're going to share a tool with you and take you through that. And then at the end, throughout, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We will be monitoring the chat and we'll happily answer those questions. And then we'll come off mics at the very end and invite you to ask questions should you wish to. So yes, we're looking at one coaching tool a month, and we're picking some of our favorites to start with, but then they're all really good, so it's a hard decision of which one to choose. But I'm trying to pick ones that you can make applicable to you and your everyday. So that's what we're trying to do at the moment. So we're going to look at another tool today, and Simon's going to teach us it and tell us all about something called Provisional Plan Promise. And hopefully you will find it exceedingly useful. Honestly, it's a great tool. We've used it a lot in all the coaching and businesses that we have worked with. So I think you will find it very helpful. Super. So, right. I'm happy to hand over to you, Simon.
Great. Thanks, Lydia. Thank you. And again, add my welcome to everyone. So, as Lydia said, this morning we're going to look at Provisional Plan Promise, which is one of the simplest tools and yet most profound tools that we have. And so I'm going to share the tool now. Uh, Here we go. Hopefully you can see that on your screen. If you give me a thumbs up, wonderful. So here's the tool. As I say, very simple tool. Y-axis being levels of certainty, and then the three columns being exactly what it says on the tin: provisional, plan, promise. So what does it mean? Well, we all know and all experienced that different personality types communicate in very different ways. And part of our role at Giant is to help teams to truly hear and understand each other, because good team communication is key pretty much to everything else, to relationships, alignment, execution, etc. Now, the problem is Because some of the five voices, pioneers and connectors, and if you're not familiar with the five voices is key to much of what we teach at Giant, and we're going to be giving an overview next month of the five voices. But some voices are extrovert processors. What does that mean? Well, that means they think out loud. I am one of them. I think out loud. I can change my mind midway through a sentence. I'm setting off down a particular path. I'm seeing an event happening. I've got an idea. I'm talking. I'm thinking, and I'm creating this bigger picture. And then all of a sudden, I will change my mind. Now, if you work with me or someone like me, that can be very frustrating if you're a planner. So I'd be in a team meeting. I'd be sharing ideas. I'd change my mind halfway through a sentence. Worse still, I could speak with such vision and passion that others in the room would thought this is definitely happening. They're scribbling their notes, they're putting dates in the diary, and then they try not to show their frustration when, and not always successfully not showing their frustration, when a minute or two later I've changed my mind. There might be a passive aggressive putting down of a pen, or sometimes less passive aggressive and just throwing it across the room at me. And what the problem was, you see, I was still in provisional working stage here, and they were wanting me to be in planning working stage. Provisional is when we're thinking out loud. So if I said to my team, right, this is a provisional mode, I'm in provisional right now, that they could put their pens aside, they could put their pens down because they knew this is a time when I'm thinking out loud, and it's often the team leader that's dictating this in some way as well. But we'd work on provisional and get to a place when we're working towards something that's more certain. And then I and the other loud thinkers would be ready to move to a plan. And the thing about a plan, just as the graph shows there, it has a greater level of certainty that we're actually going to do this. There's a commitment to a pathway. This isn't just provisional. So I could say to the team, okay, we're moving to plan now. And in saying that, I'm committing to greater certainty. The team can start writing in ink rather than in pencil. I'm committing to trying not to move the goalposts. There's an agreed direction of travel. And not only can I say we're moving to plan now, but if there's a discussion going on, a team member could say, well, are we still in provisional or have we moved to plan? And here's the thing, we're all allowed to change our minds regularly when we're in the provisional stage of things. But once we get to plan, we need to be much more disciplined, particularly the leader, about changing our minds. We can change our mind in plan. You see, it's not fully certain, and we can change our mind, but we need to realize that when we change our mind, we're causing pain. We're moving the goalposts, and we're in danger of undermining our leadership influence if we regularly change plans. Now, I have to say, a huge amount of frustration in teams is because the team leader is operating too much in provisional and too quick to change plans. Plans should be exactly what they should be plans. There should be a level of certainty about them. And if, as a leader, you're not ready to commit to a plan, stay in provisional longer and make sure that the team know you're still in provisional, you're still working it out. Now, obviously, the final column is promise, and a promise is a promise. If we make a promise to our team, we only break it because of ill health, bereavement, or the end of the world. Seriously, once we get to a promise as a leader, we need to be sure that we're absolutely committed to this plan. If we do need to change it once we've promised, then it's on us to apologize, to smooth the waters, to explain why the changes needed to take place, and not just assume that the team will happily change track because we as the leader have come up with a better idea. So that's in the work context, but this also works really well with family. Because if you're running a demanding business or you have a demanding job, then your plans are likely to change. Things will come up that you've got to prioritize, say a meeting with a supplier over a parents' evening. But if you've taught this tool to your family, then it can actually save quite a bit of pain. Imagine your child asks you to attend the Christmas nativity, which is called the Hopeless Camel, because they're all called something like that these days. And you can say, I plan to be at your nativity. However, I can't promise right now because I know that there's something going on in my work that at the last minute might mean I have to commit to it. Now, if you've taught your family this simple tool, then if you do have to change your plans, hopefully, well, they'll still be sad, they won't be devastated because they know it's a plan. But if you promise that you'll be there, because there are only going to be so many times you get to watch your child in a nativity before they're a teenager, if you promise, then make sure you keep your promise. And if you can't, that's on you. Apologize, make it up, don't do it very often, or you will undermine your influence with your family. So, provision, plan, promise. As you say, incredibly easy tool, but incredibly powerful when we use it in the right context. I just want, before I ask Lydia a question, but just want us to take a moment to think about a recent team meeting. Have you given the team the impression that you're planning something when you're still only in provisional? Or have you been in a team meeting where recently someone has been provisional when you thought they were planning? Or are there projects or appointments in your diary that you need to let your team know these are promises? You're completely committed to these. You're not going to change your mind on these things. And similarly, thinking about the diary and the family, are there any promises or things that your family think are promises, but actually they might be plans? Things might have to change. Do you need to just make sure the family know that you've got some plans that aren't quite yet promises? Genuinely, I've found this tool so helpful in my work and in family life, just to take away some of the confusion that can come when we're communicating about plans and things that are taking place. So, Lydia, I know that you have used this with many of your clients. How have you found it's gone?
Thank you. Yeah, it's so helpful when I use this with clients because it just puts a language to something that you otherwise might not think about. And I have found that my clients have been exceedingly grateful because they suddenly realize, oh, I speak in provisional a lot, or I speak in plan. Me personally, I speak in plan and I hear plan. So if somebody says to me, oh, why don't we do this? I hear it. That's happening. And I start doing things accordingly. And I was working with a solicitor's firm recently, and the managing partner said, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had offices nearer the sea? And his secretary went away and started investigating all vacant office space nearer the sea. And they came back a couple of weeks later and she said, oh, I've done this. And he said, oh, no, 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 no. I was just throwing around ideas. And it caused quite a lot of frustration because also the authority with which he speaks as somebody who's leading, he hadn't clarified his communication at all. And he just said, wouldn't it be nice? They heard plan and I hear plan. So I really sympathized with the work that was done there. So, and I work with a number of head teachers and they often are provisional speakers and their staff hear plan. And so therefore, the great thing about this tool is just clarifying and saying, by the way, I'm speaking provisionally. You kind of let a head market beforehand and say, this is a provisional thing. And that's really helpful. And I work with a lot of provisional speakers. If I'm not sure, I say to them, is this provisional or is this plan? They go, oh, goodness me, just provisional. Or they'll say, oh no, this is a plan. And so it gives you that language to use. I will warn you, it can backfire because I did this with my children. I taught them the tool and I said, oh, we should go to Legoland. And they went, provisional plan promise, mum. And I was like, and well, we made a plan and then it became a promise and then we went. So just be careful, wary of your language because it can cause problems. But I think also the greatest tension is between provisional and plan. I think promise is promise. You don't go back on that for any small reason. But provisional and plan is where you just realize that probably half the population speak provisional and half the population speak plan. You got to know who you're on the other side of, and just clarifying that. And that's really, really helpful. And you can ask, nobody will mind. And we use this language with our team, don't we, Simon? And we just say,
Indeed.
yep, okay, is this provisional or plan? And it's just so helpful to be able to say that to each other. So it's been super useful in work context. I've had clients enormously grateful for this because they then stop frustrating their team. And I've had it used in my personal life as well. So it's been brilliant. Yeah. Thanks, Simon. What
Well,
about you personally? Have you done it with family? Have you introduced it yet?
Well, I'm a provisional speaker. You're a plan speaker. I'm always provisional, and so pretty much, and coming up with ideas and next mountain, next things. So again, it's been helpful, particularly for Sue and I actually, as we've talked about things together. Um, when I found it for my team, which is a couple of years ago now, when I was leading a team of 10. I found it so helpful because a lot of the time in team meetings, I was being provisional, throwing around ideas, thinking of things we could do. And there were, genuinely, as I said, that people writing plans down and thinking it was a plan. And so, yeah, really helpful in that respect in terms of uh, just working with the team and finding that benefit from it as well. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time. We say 20 minutes and it's 17 past. But if anybody has got any questions they want to put in the chat,
Mhm.
or in a moment we'll come off mic, we'll stop recording, we'll come off mics and people can ask away. But I don't know if Lydia, there's anything you wanted to finish off and wrap up before we do that. I'm waiting for any chat questions.
I think it's just a really simple one that you can adopt really quickly and teach really quickly. All the giant tools, you should be able to draw them on a napkin and explain them, within a minute or two. So, we're not trying to teach you anything complex or difficult, just something that you might go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And it just helps in relationships with colleagues, with spouses, with children, all of that. So all of the tools should be pretty simple to understand, but implementing them can offer a bit more of a challenge, certainly with some of them that we'll look at later down the line. And then when we look at the voices next time, you'll start to see how some voices lean towards particular behaviors as well. So hopefully that will really help kind of bed in and clarify some of the communication that we're putting across here.
And and next month is going to be our real challenge because we're going to try and teach the five voices or give an overview in 20 minutes, which will be quite a challenge. But please do join us on the first Tuesday of June for that.
Yeah.
But no questions in the chat. So I'm going to stop recording and invite anybody who wants to stay on for a group chat to do so. But otherwise, thank you ever so much for joining us and see you another time.
Yeah, hope so. Bye bye. Well, thank you.